Coast Guard. And we're actually thinking of a sixth, and that would be the Space Force. Does that make sense? The Space Force, General. You probably haven't even heard that. I'm just telling you now. This is perhaps because we're getting very big in space, both militarily and for other reasons. And we are seriously thinking of the Space Force. And you'll join the greatest force for peace and justice the world has ever.
Anyone else want to jump in? Yes. Sergeant Scott?
Yeah, in June of 2001, President Bush came on scene on ABC News, and it was carried throughout the networks and in Popular Mechanics magazine. He had with him a general from the Air Force, and he was announcing that the general was going to be the head of a new military force called the Space Force. And they were going to build this force and also put a military base on the moon. Now, nobody questioned him on why, what was the purpose for that, but then September 11th comes around, the terrorist attack comes, this general is posted as the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and the Space Force never comes about. The question I have still, why did he want to create a new military force for outer space unless there's a threat?
We have a space force. It's in existence. And it's been written about extensively. It's there.
Okay.
Good.
All right. Okay. Some acknowledge it and some don't. But that's your point's well taken, Sergeant.
Black Ops?
Black Ops is real.
Well,
Yeah, I know.
you want me to answer that?
No.
No, I won't.
No. No. Let me go to I'm sorry.
He jumped in.
Right, I'm sorry. You're absolutely right. Continue. It's your time, Congresswoman.
I'd like to hear from you.
I just said that what he's talking about is Black Ops. And I don't...
A live look now at the night sky from our Health Network Skycam. The stars in the distance are what inspire many people to become astronauts. Tonight, new documents about past astronauts have just been declassified. Our Christian Hauser sheds light on these secrets.
Folks here behind me at the National Museum of the U.S. Air Force are hearing top secret details about a 60s era space program. And astronauts involved say that it could have been a game changer when it comes to the Cold War.
If you're under 60, you probably never heard of the Manned Orbiting Laboratory, or MOL. It was a program run by the U.S. Air Force in the mid-60s.
I don't think a lot of people know that there were other astronauts beside the NASA astronauts. We were strictly working with the military.
The government sold it as a way to prove how valuable manned space stations could be for the military, but it never left the atmosphere.
They developed unmanned technology that does some of what we were thinking about doing. I still think if we'd had humans in the loop, it would have been even better.
Newly declassified information shows MOL equipment could focus on tiny areas with very high resolution. It could spot a softball in a parking lot from space. Even though the program was scrapped in favor of unmanned satellites, the work helped advance several other areas.
And that work led to some other things, even though the program wasn't canceled, both in hardware, software technology, and the people that were on the program have also accomplished a lot after the program.
Crippen says even though the program never lifted off, he's just happy to have been a part of it.
I think I was doing something for the country and something for the future, so it was very exciting for me personally.
Crippen still thinks having military personnel in space could serve the U.S. Reporting from the National Museum of the United States Air Force, Christian Hauser, Fox45Now.com.
Want to learn more about the MOL program and what the Soviets were doing to counter that program? We've got you covered on Fox45Now.com.
Miriam Kramer of Mashable reports that a military space plane that is shrouded in secrecy is set to launch into space on its latest mostly secret mission Wednesday. The U.S. Air Force uncrewed X-37B spaceplane is due to blast off atop an Atlas V rocket for its fourth space mission on May 20th from Cape Canaveral Air Force Station in Florida. The rocket could launch anytime during the launch window from 10:45 a.m. to 2:45 p.m. Eastern Time. The X-37B program, which includes 2 X-37B planes built by Boeing, was created to help the Air Force experiment with technologies that can be used with an uncrewed, reusable space vehicle. The Air Force has said the program is also tasked with bringing experiments back to Earth after long space flights for scientists on the ground to inspect them.
The Air Force's secret space plane is returning to Earth this week after spending close to 2 years in space doing something classified. It's been a while since the X-37B made headlines, so we'll refresh your memory. It's a Boeing-built unmanned solar-powered spaceplane, and the government has never said exactly what its mission is. Last week, Vandenberg Air Force Base in California said it was preparing for the X-37B to land, capping off a 22-month mission that began in December 2012. This is the third flight for the program and the second for this particular spacecraft. The vehicle is meant to be reusable and to carry out long-range missions, so it looks like this mission has been a success. Of course, it's hard to know for sure. In May, Air Force General William Shelton gave a statement to Space.com that kind of sums up the whole program. X-37 is doing great. I can't tell you what it's doing, but it's doing great. The spacecraft's classified mission has been fodder for conspiracy theorists saying it's testing space weapons or carrying out a spying mission or combating aliens. Although you might actually be shocked at how much information about the secret mission isn't secret. We know, for instance, what the vehicle's heat shield is made of, how it's powered, we know about its brakes, its wings, its propulsion system. We know that it's based on the design of NASA's space shuttle, but scaled down to around a quarter of the size. We also know it will soon be housed in the space shuttle's old storage facility, and will operate out of Cape Canaveral. We know it guides itself during takeoff, orbit, re-entry, and landing. There are really just two main things we don't know. What was its payload, and what has it been doing up there all this time? Whatever it was, the Air Force says it might need to send the X-37B into orbit several more times before the mission objectives are complete. So there's plenty of time to work up your own theory.
In space, the United States is going to do Colonel Glenn proud. We are finally going to lead again. You see what's happening. You see the rockets going up left and right. You haven't seen that for a long time. Very soon we're going to Mars. You wouldn't have been going to Mars if my opponent won. That I can tell you. You wouldn't even be thinking about it. You wouldn't be thinking about it. My new national strategy for space recognizes that space is a warfighting domain, just like the land, air, and sea. We may even have a Space Force. We'll develop another one. Space Force. We have the Air Force, we'll have the Space Force. We have the Army, the Navy. You know, I was saying it the other day because we're doing a tremendous amount of work in space. I said, maybe we need a new force. We'll call it the Space Force. And I was not really serious. And then I said, what a great idea. Maybe we'll have to do that. That could happen. That could be the big breaking story. Look at all those people back there. Look at that. Oh, that fake news. Oh. They know, they understand. So think of that. Space Force, because we're spending a lot. And we have a lot of private money coming in, tremendous. You saw what happened the other day, and tremendous success. From the very beginning, many of our astronauts have been soldiers and sailors, airmen, Coast Guardsmen, and Marines. And our service members will be vital to ensuring America continues to lead the way into the stars. We're going to lead the way in space. We're way, way behind, and we're catching up fast. Our Vice President cares very deeply about space policy, and for good reason. Space exploration is not only essential to our character as a nation, but also our economy and our great nation's security. Our travels beyond the Earth propel scientific discoveries that improve our lives in countless ways right here at home, powering vast new industries, spurring incredible technology, and providing the space security we need to protect the American people. And security is going to be a very big factor with respect to space and space exploration. At some point in the future, we're going to look back and say, how did we do it without space? The Vice President will